about this. One sec. Hey, howdy, hey, y'all. Allison here. Sorry about those technical difficulties. This is the second time we've had to start this live stream, unfortunately. My cut out. I don't know what happened with my Wi-Fi. It just went zoop and then it was gone. Sorry about that. But yeah, I'm back. We're gonna wait a little while for, just give a sec for some more people to get here, and then we're gonna get started with this week's episode of Getting Awkward with Allison. As you can see, I am here alone today. Peyton is not here with me. I'll explain where she is and all that stuff later. We'll get into all of it. But don't you worry, we're still gonna have fun even though it's just me. I have a lot of stuff planned out to talk about for this episode. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time. I'm seeing people in the live chat. That makes me hyped. I love seeing you guys. I love interacting with you guys. I really do like creating the atmosphere of this is like a community. That's one of the nice things about having a smaller YouTube channel is that you can actually interact more, and it's not so much a your audience isn't so much an amorphous being. It's actual people that you see consistently in the comments and all that sort of stuff. So I love seeing y'all come back again and again, and it just makes me very, very happy. So yeah, I did not have an episode of Getting Awkward with Allison last week because I was on vacation. I am back now, as you can see. Peyton is not here, however, because she actually got this really amazing internship. She's working in Washington, D.C. right now, doing fashion museum stuff because that's kind of her specialty. She's a history major and she specializes in fashion history, so I don't entirely understand what she does at her internship, but from what I've gathered, she essentially goes around to these museums as an intern with her boss, and they do restoration for various costumes at the Smithsonian and other museums in DC, and make sure everything's good. Keep all this, not costumes, clothing, like old clothing, antique clothing, like historically relevant clothing, and they keep it all doing good. They maintain it, is what I'm saying. So that's really fun. As you may have noticed, I am wearing my goddammit Meg shirt. The first one. They're not up for sale yet because I put in an order for myself to get one of these shirts, and I decided to wait until just wait until I have gotten my own and I've washed it and see how it wears, that sort of thing, before I actually put it up for sale for other people to buy. And I'm really excited for that. These shirts are so cool. I think I'm gonna pull it back a little bit so you can actually get to see me shirt, because I think it's really surreal that I'm wearing my own face. I don't want to go back too far, of course, but like at the same time, I want you guys to see. See, now it feels like we're too far away. No, we're gonna stay right where we are right here, okay? Y'all can just imagine Meg down here. The shirts are very cool. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Anyways, I'm gonna take a quick sip of water. Got some ice. Yeah, I gotta commit to it though. When you drink water and you get some ice in your mouth, you gotta commit. Anyways, so I think it's time we get started with today's topic. Okay, so as you can see from the title of this live stream, opening up about my career in the film industry. So I've talked about my career in the film industry. I've touched on it a little bit, but I'm always very hesitant to talk about it in detail because I feel like I'm bragging and then I feel bad. So normally I don't really talk about it unless somebody directly asks me in the comments or they reach out to me and they ask for information about that. But I kind of avoid talking about it in my videos because I feel bad. I don't want to feel like I'm bragging or flexing on you guys. But at the same time, I can't really get around the fact that a lot of people ask about it. A lot of people are very curious about my professional career because I don't just make YouTube videos. YouTube is not all I do with my life. I do a lot of other things. I have an actual career that I am pursuing, and I'm very proud of my career. I'm only 21 and I've accomplished a lot more than most 21-year-olds, and I have a lot of reasons to be very, very grateful. I've had a lot of great opportunities. I'm very lucky in a lot of ways. But at the same time, I also, once I go through explaining this whole odyssey that I've gone through in my career thus far, I do want to go into like talking about like tips and advice and stuff like that, because I do get a lot of people asking me questions about like how do I get into this sort of thing. And so I thought you guys would enjoy hearing about that. By the way, it's aggravating me that this stuff is reflecting as much as it is, but I don't really want to change it at the moment because I'm on a roll. Sorry, I get distracted easily. I'm ADHD. That's why it's nice to have Peyton around to keep me in check. Anyways, so without any further ado, let's get started-aroo. You know, whenever I say that in my videos, it's always ironic. Like, I just think it's the dumbest way to segue, and that's why I say it. Anyways, so my interest in film started from a very young age. I did not have many friends growing up, so when I was really young, I used movies a lot of the time as my go-to form of entertainment, rather than hanging out with friends, because I didn't have very many friends. Instead, I would just watch movies with my brother or by myself. It didn't really matter. I watched a lot of Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Pirates of the Caribbean, Disney movies, a lot of Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon. I think I'd probably say my favorite show growing up was Adventure Time, but anyway, so the first videos I ever really made were, I'd probably say I was 9 or 10 years old, and they were Lego stop motion videos, Lego Star Wars specifically. Me, my brother, and a kind of mutual friend. This guy was more of my brother. He's more of my brother's friend than my friend, but we were kind of friends. It's complicated. Anyways, it's complicated. We would make these Lego stop motion videos. I was like 9 or 10, and that was kind of my first videos I ever really started making. And then around the time I was in middle school, there was this there was this app, Video Star, that was very popular at my middle school. It allows you to make these music videos, and they're really cool, actually. I actually used that app very very recently, actually, for in the Turns term. There's that scene where Harpocrates like hits Apollo with that sonic silent boom of this like this like very trippy music sequence. For that sequence I used Video Star, but anyways, that was very popular at my middle school when I was a kid. And so I would make a whole lot of these. I made dozens of music videos when I was like 11 or 12. I really, really enjoyed those. And then it wasn't until summer of 2013 that I got very into books. And I kind of shifted away from movies and TV shows, watching that stuff for entertainment. Instead, I was reading a lot. Another key moment in this early part of my life is July 2013, when I was visiting my grandma, and we watched these two movies one night. We watched Little Miss Sunshine and Moonrise Kingdom, and that's like a core memory for me, because up to that point I had only ever really watched either kids movies or family movies, you know, family friendly pictures. I had never really watched anything made specifically for adults, and those sorts of movies opened me up to what you can do with film, you know, the sort of really deep, complex thematic things you can do, and stylistic things also. And then blah, 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 blah. Eventually, around, well, I was probably 14 or 15 when I first started watching Tarantino movies. That was another big influence for me to get into this sort of thing. So the first Tarantino movie I ever watched was Django Unchained. So when people ask me which movies got me into film, I say these three movies: Little Miss Sunshine, Moonrise Kingdom, and Django Unchained. So yeah, it was August 18th, 2015 when I first started making YouTube videos, the birth of the book lover. And it was really fun. We started off doing video every other week, but then summer 2016, I was 16 at the time, and I was supposed to get a job because my parents were like, hey, 16 years old, that's a good age to start to get your first job. But I didn't. Instead, I spent the whole summer just making YouTube videos. We posted a video every week, and at the time, that was a very daunting task. We were making pretty big videos every week, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And it's funny because at the time, my parents were like, why don't you have a job? You're 16, you should have a job by now. But that summer where I spent the whole summer just making tons and tons of videos, that was probably one of the most important summers for me. Anyways, the following summer, summer 2017, I actually did get a job. I worked as an attendant at a pool. I worked in the snack shack and at the front desk, that sort of thing. But that same summer, we still continued to make lots and lots of videos. I think we still were making a video every week, but at that point, I downloaded Adobe Elements Premiere. That was my first big editing software that I ever got. At the time, I thought that it was a regular Premiere, but it wasn't until years later that I realized I was using Elements Premiere, which is slightly different. And I totally embarrassed myself later on, but we'll get to that part in the story later. Anyways, so senior year, I reached my senior year of high school. That started in fall 2017, and that was important because I was taking this class on creative writing, and everyone in the class was required to be a part of this club. We published this student literary magazine called Pandora's Box, where students would submit short stories and poems, and then we would print them in magazine form. It was pretty neat, and everyone in the creative writing class was required to be a part of this Pandora's Box team. And my job there was to make the advertisements to play on the morning announcements. And that was important because that was my first time ever making stuff that was commissioned and making advertisements, because it still is a very big part of my professional life now, making advertisements and commissions for things. So that was a big deal for me, although I didn't realize it at the time. Anyways, so November 2017, Peyton and I, we started to distance. Our relationship was going through a rough spot. And November 2017 was when we started to distance, and that distancing lasted for, unfortunately, a while. I don't want to get into it because I don't want you to hate any of us. I don't want to start any drama or anything like that. But point is, we're all good now. Anyways, but at the time, things were not very good. And I continued to do YouTube videos on my own without Peyton, but they just weren't as good, you know? Spring 2018, we had this project, senior book, where we had to make a compilation of these stories about our lives. And I didn't want to write them, so instead I went to my teacher and I was like, hey, can I make them into video form instead? And I actually uploaded them to YouTube so you can watch these senior book videos about my life. They're pretty neat. Those videos were important to me for personal reasons and that sort of thing. Once again, it was another example of me kind of doing, it wasn't exactly a commission, but it was not my own personal project, you know, it was something else that somebody had wanted me to do and I was required to do. So then we get to the big thing. May 2018, that's when the Danny Devito prom thing happens. For those of you unaware, I went to prom with a cardboard cutout of Danny DeVito. You know those elementary school scooters, the little square ones that you use in gym class? I got one of those and I duct taped him to that scooter, and then I tied a leash to it and I pulled him around, and that was my prom date. I put a tie on him and a boutonniere and all that sort of stuff, and that was my prom date. And that went really viral. You can look it up. Danny DeVito prom girl. It was everywhere. It was Time magazine. Jimmy Kimmel was talking about it. PewDiePie talked about it. Everybody talked about it. It was insane. It was on Good Morning America. I actually posted some clips from some of these moments onto my channel if you want to check those out. But that was a really big deal for me because first of all, it was a big deal for personal, emotional reasons, because all my life I always knew I was weird, but I was never sure if I was a good weird or a bad weird, if you know what I mean. And I believed in my heart of hearts that I was a good weird, but people in my life were always making me feel like I was a bad weird. I got a lot of, I was not treated well by my classmates growing up at any point in time. And that really sucked, and they made me feel like I was trash, like I needed to hide myself and who I was. But it wasn't until the Danny DeVito prom thing happened that, here's the thing, that story, it went viral. Everyone was covering it and talking about it, and it was like millions of people took a look at that. And I mean, taking a cardboard cutout of Danny DeVito to prom, like, that's a very Allison thing to do. It's a very good, it's like it's a good representation of the kind of weird person that I am. And so for millions of people to look at that and say, yeah, we like that. That's a good weird. We like that. That was a really, really big deal for me. It was validating. It confirmed to me that no, they were wrong about me. All those kids in school growing up, they were wrong about me, because millions of people looked at that and say, we like that. And that was one of the most successful major moments of my life. And it only happened because of my weirdness. So at that point, it was kind of a turning point in my life where I decided that I was going to lean into that, rather than try as I might to cover it up. That I realized that my weirdness translates into success, especially in the film industry, because oh my God, everybody was talking about it. Like at one point, I wanted to invite Danny to my high school graduation, so I found out who his talent agency was, and I called them up, and they were like, "Hello, how can we help you?" And I said, "Hi, I'm the Danny DeVito prom girl. I was hoping Danny could come to my graduation." And they're like, oh, like they recognized me. And they're like, oh, we'll pass you along the line. Unfortunately, he could not come to my graduation because they were filming season 13 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia at the time, but still. Speaking of which, that leads into the next thing where, see, they were filming season 13 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia at the time that the prom thing happened, and the whole cast and crew, they thought that what I did was hilarious, so they made a cardboard cutout of me and they brought it to the set and posted pictures of it, and yeah, that went even more viral. Like, that whole story was everywhere. It really was. It was crazy. But after that, I had a pretty normal summer after that. I worked as a camp counselor at a summer camp. And also that same summer, I got my first camera. My Rebecca, she's right over here. That's my camera. Her name is Rebecca, and I love her dearly. Anyways, after I graduated from high school that summer, not that summer, that spring, at the end of the spring, I graduated from high school. I kind of stopped posting on YouTube. I was kind of posting here and there, miscellaneous things, but I wasn't posting consistently anymore, and sorry about that. That's because, first off, I had that job at a summer camp, and that was just exhausting. It took up a lot of time and energy, and whenever I wasn't working, I was exhausted. It's a very physically demanding sort of job. You're always out there running around, because it was a very athletic sort of camp. We're always playing games and stuff. It required a lot of my energy. But then in the fall 2018, I started going to college. I went to Gettysburg College, and I was majoring in cinema and media studies. And boy, oh boy, I loved it. It was wonderful. I learned a lot about the history of film, not just in Hollywood, but around the world. That's something that a lot of people don't really, especially online, they don't really bring up a whole lot. But like, they only really think of film so much as it exists in Hollywood, but they're all film around the world. They all have these great stories, and they all kind of interconnect and interact with each other, and it's all very complex and very interesting. It's funny, when I first started going, like, academically studying film in college, I was going in expecting it to be the way that film is discussed online on YouTube, and it's not like that. I had a wonderful professor, one of the best film scholars in the world, James Udden. I love him. I call him Jim. We're buddies. And it's not like it is on YouTube. On YouTube, they're like, the people are talking about Back to the Future and Star Wars and those sorts of movies. But in film school, when you're studying film academically, you're not really talking about that as much. You're talking more about stuff like Rashomon and the French New Wave. That's more of what you're talking about, the history of film around the world and how it all relates to each other and connects. And it's not at all like it is presented on the internet. It's not. Anyway, so then that leads into September 2018, when to continue. Oh my God, Peyton is here. I love you, Peyton. She's in the chat, guys. Look, it's Peyton. She's in the chat. I love her and miss her. Yeah, Peyton. I'm assuming you just arrived. I was saying that I always am so hesitant to talk about my career in film because I don't want to seem like I'm bragging, but so many people ask me about it and want to know about it, so I decided, we're gonna talk about it today. Yay! At this point in the timeline, we're at September 2018 when I get invited onto The Talk on CBS. That was the first time I ever got a check from CBS, an actual like professional media company. It was really, really cool. But yeah, I got invited on The Talk, and I got interviewed by the ladies of The Talk, Sharon Osbourne, Sarah Gilbert, all of them. Very interesting, a very interesting experience. They flew me out to LA. It was great. And then I met Danny Devito in person on the show. Danny was there. We met. We shared a hug. It was beautiful. We spoke for a little while, and unfortunately, my brain kind of short-circuited when I saw him, and so people, they always ask me, did you say anything to him? Did you talk to him after camera stopped rolling? And here's the thing, after the camera stopped rolling, he was like, so you go to school? What are you studying? And I was like, movies. And he was like, oh, okay. Like, my brain just kind of short-circuited. I was a total awkward mess around him. And that's a lesson that I will learn later in this story, how to properly conduct oneself around celebrities. Anyways, so after that, I had another job. It was October 2018, not 2018. October 2018, I was hired to make a wedding video for one of my mom's coworkers. I went to the wedding, we filmed it. It was this whole big project. There was like music videos involved and interviews with people, like an interview segment, but also like the ceremony itself. And it was this whole big production. And that was like the first time I was ever like hired to do videography by anyone. It was a very interesting and impactful experience. So at this point, I'm like 18 years old. I've already gone viral. I've already been like hired for a job, and like it was crazy. I was 18 years old, and it was so weird because growing up, people at school treated me like absolute garbage because they probably didn't think I was gonna go anywhere in life. And then here I am, like a few months after graduating high school, and I was doing incredible things. I was meeting Danny DeVito and Sharon Osbourne and being flown out to LA. It's insane. Anyway, so starting December 2018, I became a video production intern for my video production professor at Gettysburg College. Essentially what we did was the college paid us to go to different events that the college hosted. And then we would film these events, and I would make these highlights videos for the school to share online, social media, all that sort of stuff. And it was really neat. That was like the second time that I'd ever been hired, like commissioned to do videography, and it was a great experience. And I spent a lot of time with my professor. We had a very close relationship, and it was nice. It was a great time. He kind of became this sort of father figure to me on campus. It was like I had like two dads on campus: my video production professor and my film studies professor, and they were like my dads. It was great, and I spent every moment I could, trying to gauge as much information as I could from them, because the thing about school is, especially college in particular, like, if you want to be successful in life, you need to learn things about your industry. You need to become as knowledgeable as possible. And so once you're out there studying your career, it's like, I don't see why you, yes, Peyton, this is video production, people. But yeah, once you get into that sort of stuff, it's just such a waste if you don't make the most of your time there and try to learn as much as possible about your career. Because, I mean, you have these people being paid, these professionals in your industry being paid to teach you things about your career. Like, why would you not make the most of that? But yeah, at Gettysburg, I made a lot of friends. I was very close with my professors, and I learned so much about film, the history of it, and the complexities of it, film criticism, film analysis. But there was one problem, and that is that while they had this amazing film and media studies program, their film production program was awful, 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 awful. And while I loved it there, I had so many friends, and I loved my professors, and I loved my classes, I knew that I would eventually have to transfer out because, I mean, the way I always explain it to people is it's like if you want to become a writer, but you only take literature courses, but no writing courses. Like, like if you want to be a writer, like, yeah, you need to learn about literature and read a lot of stuff and learn about writing, criticism, and all that jazz, but you also need to actually learn how to write. Like, I take writing courses. So here I was at Gettysburg. I loved it there, and I was learning so much about film, doing all these film studies classes, but I was not learning enough about production. And I was like, once I get out there into the real world, into my career, I need to know how to work a camera, you know? So I spent a year and a half at Gettysburg, and I eventually transferred out. But before we get to that, I want to rewind a little bit because I transferred after 3 semesters, but there were some interesting things that happened while I was attending Gettysburg. First of all, like I said, I was video production intern, and I was making all these projects for the school. And then summer 2019, I had a job as a promotions assistant at a radio company, a radio studio, Red 102.3. I went to all these different events, and I would help promote things, and I would also make videos. I would film these events and once again post highlights videos. That was a lot of my life for a long time, just going to things, filming things, making highlights videos and ads. Like, that's what I did for a long time. And my mom just got home. I can hear the garage door. Anyways. And then in June 2019, okay, so there I was. My mom was on the phone with my grandma, and my grandma who was living on Block Island, Rhode Island, and she mentioned to my mom that there was this film festival happening on Block Island, the Block Island Film Festival. And I was like, say what? And my grandma was like, yeah, it's happening in a week. And I was like, I need to get down there right now. Because at Gettysburg, I learned so much about film festivals, and they really are these big networking events, essentially, where you have all these filmmakers going and sharing their films and meeting each other and networking with each other. And networking is so important, especially in the film industry, because it's more of who you know than what you know. That's what they always say. So I booked myself some train tickets, and I went up there as soon as possible. And it was amazing. It was a very small festival because, hi, Mom. Hello. My mom's here. I'm doing a live stream about my career thus far in the film industry because people ask about that a lot.
That's because you're so awesome.
I really am. See, Mom, my mom thinks that I brag a lot, but I never do on this channel. Like, I never talk about this stuff.
You've never talked about it.
No, I talk about the Danny Devito thing because that's relevant, but I never really talk about the other things that I've done, and I get a lot of questions from people about these things, about, like, what do you do outside of YouTube, and, like, how do you get into the film industry, and, like, how do you make videos, and I'm like, well, I don't, so I decided I'm doing a live stream right now talking about this.
That's a good job.
I love you.
I'll go up the other way.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
So where were we? Right, the Block Island Film Festival. So I was not actually showing any of my projects at the festival because, like I said, I didn't even know it existed until a week before the festival even happened. So I get there, super small festival. There weren't many people there, but I was going to every single event. I was going to see every film there, every short film, feature film, you name it, and every Q&A panel. And I was taking all these notes. Like, I had this notebook with me. I was scribbling down all these notes, asking all these questions. And it was so funny because there I was. I was 18 later. I actually turned 19 on the last day of the film festival. But for the most part, I was 18. So you have this 18-year-old kid, dressed all like business with this little notebook at every single event, asking a million questions. And at one point, and before I even went, I researched all of the films being shown there and all of the people confirmed to be going there. And I did research on everyone. So I already knew who everyone was. And I was trying to memorize their names and faces so that I could like recognize them. And at one point, one of the most exciting people that I met, like a lot of very interesting celebrities, very big people in the film industry. It was amazing. But one of the most interesting was that really caught my attention when I was looking through the people going was Allison Ashley Arm and Dylan Snyder, both of whom were Disney Channel child stars. They were, Allison Ashley Arm was on That's So Random, Sunny with a Chance, those shows. I think that's what they're called. I didn't watch Disney Channel as a kid. But Dylan Snyder was on Kickin' It. But those two, they were Disney Channel child stars. They were engaged at the time of the film festival, but they're married now. And they had been getting into making short films, trying to get into the film industry. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I have a chance to meet some Disney Channel child stars. So what's really funny is that they arrived a couple days before their film was shown. So they went to a few of the events and they noticed me, this little scrappy looking 18-year-old at every event, taking a million notes, asking a million questions. And they approached me and they're like, so what's your deal? Are you with the press? And it was so funny. These Disney Channel child stars, they came to me. I did not come to them. They came to me. Isn't that insane? So they come to me asking what my deal is. And they had this kind of this group with them of friends and their producer, their editor, and they come to me and I tell them what my deal is, that I'm just a young, scrappy, and hungry, I'm just trying to make it in the film industry, and I heard that there was a film festival happening, and I want to learn everything that I can and do as much networking as possible. And they're like, oh, that's cool. And at this point, see, early in the film festival, I learned something very important, which is that the Danny DeVito prom story will get me far. That if I tell that to somebody, then they instantly want to know me. And so I find a way to casually slip it in. I tell them, these Disney Channel child stars and their friends, hello, Father, I'm doing a live stream.
Oh, hi, daughter. How are you?
Good. I'm doing great. I love
What's
you.
the topic?
Okay. People always ask me about my professional life, like with film and stuff and videography, and
Sure.
I never tell them because I don't want to brag. But I keep getting asked about it, so I'm finally telling them.
You're kind of spilling all the beans?
Oh yeah, I have the full timeline written out, and we're going through every detail.
Awesome. Well, it's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, there are.
All right.
Bye-bye. So anyways, there I am, and I'm talking to these Disney Channel child stars and their friends and their editor and their producer, and I tell them the Danny DeVito prom story, and they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is so cool. We have these these Hollywood actors, and producer, and just all these big people thinking that I'm cool. And they're like, hey, we're going to the beach. You want to come with? And I'm like, yes. And then they go out to dinner and they're like, you want to come with? I'm like, yeah. And we just kind of became pals. It was amazing, and this experience was just so cool. It was so amazing. I befriended these Disney Channel child stars. If you go on my Instagram, you can actually find pictures of me with them. It's super dope. Allison Ashley, she even comments on one of the posts. So cool, so amazing. And the producer particularly was he thought that I was like one cool kid. He follows me on Instagram now. It's so crazy. We talk sometimes. It's so cool. This Hollywood producer is she's a cool cat. How does that even happen? And at that point, one important thing that came from that was I kind of learned how to conduct myself around celebrities, because these people are celebrities, and just kind of seeing them as people, talking to these Disney child stars, and we're talking about dumb YouTube videos and memes. We were talking about PewDiePie at one point. Like we were, and I was like, huh, they really are just like regular 20-somethings, like I am. It was or I was 18 at the time. Oh, geez. But yeah, it was just so cool. And like I said, I networked and connected and befriended a whole lot of people, not just actors, but producers, editors, cinematographers, all directors, all those sorts of people. And I just asked them so many questions. I took all these notes, learning as much as I could about this. And one of the big things that I got from it was the idea that just keep on making things. Just keep on making things, add to your portfolio, and network as much as possible. Meet as many people as possible, and tell your Danny DeVito prom story any chance you get. Because here's the thing, I don't want to brag about it, but at the same time, it's like telling that story gets me places, okay? It does. It does. It's in my best interest to do it. Anyways, so, and then after that, we have an even bigger experience. Oh God, you're probably like, whoa, after that, how do you get bigger? Well, we did, because that same summer, I got hired to as a production assistant on an HBO pilot called We're Here, and the show actually did air. That pilot got picked up, and the pilot did air. So if you have HBO Max, you can watch the first episode, because I was a production assistant on it. And man, that was such an amazing experience. It was like a month-long shoot, and I was the production assistant. So that basically meant that it was my job to facilitate production as much as possible. And there were a lot of different things I would do, whether that be every morning I would go grocery shopping and get crafty, like snacks and drinks, stuff like that. I would make sure everything was stocked so that people had things. I always carried around a backpack full of water bottles and snacks and sunscreen and bug spray, because it was my job to make sure that people had those things. And then I would also have like miscellaneous jobs here and there of like, driving people around. But also one of the coolest things was, they were filming the first episode of the show in Gettysburg. Shoot, I didn't even tell you what the show is about. So We're Here is an HBO documentary series where they took these three super famous drag queens, Eureka, Bob the Drag Queen, and, oh no, how can I forget? Oh no, I can't forget. Shangela. I was like, S-H. I can't believe I forgot. Shangela. Sorry about that. It stars Bob the Drag Queen, Eureka, and Shangela, who are super famous drag queens. Like, they've been on a bunch of seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race. They're very well known and popular in the drag community. And I befriended these people. Particularly Eureka and Shangela were very fond of me. And Eureka actually follows me on Instagram. If you go onto my Instagram, at ALLICLOSS, at Alacloss, if you go onto my Instagram, you actually see that Eureka follows me on Instagram, because we were pals. Like, I would drive her around. We would go to Walmart together. We would go to Burger King together. Like, I was kind of like her chauffeur, this like major like drag queen, super famous lady, non-binary person. Sorry about that. Recently came out as non-binary. Anyways, so it was so cool. And one of my favorite things was, we would be working on stuff, and we would have lunch breaks and dinner breaks and stuff like that, and I would talk to these people. I would talk to producers and directors and cameramen and sound recorders and all these people, and try to gauge as much information as I could. Because I think you'll notice the theme here, that I try to learn as much as I can and take as much as I can from these experiences, because why not? Like, these other production assistants here were like, a lot of them didn't really seem like this was a big deal, but I was like, I wanted to learn as much as I could from this. I'm sorry, I just realized that I didn't even finish explaining what this series is about. I'm so sorry. So the show, it's an HBO documentary series about these three famous drag queens. In each episode, they go to a different small town in the United States, and they do various things like educating the community about LGBT issues. And at the end of these episodes, they would have a big drag show. And the first episode was at Gettysburg. And the way I got hired for this was, since they wanted to film this first episode in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and I was a student at Gettysburg College, the production coordinators, the production manager, they reached out. No, it was the production manager, production coordinator. I forget which. Um, sorry. So she contacts Gettysburg College and she says, "Hey, do you have any film students that any good film students that we could use as production assistants?" And they're like, "Well, we have just the kid for you. We have just the student for you." And they recommended me instantly. I was the first one hired because they had nothing but good things to say about me. And that's another lesson that I think can be learned from all of this, which is that if you work hard and you show commitment and you show interest and you show an eagerness to learn and facilitate production, you really prove yourself to others, then those people will recommend you to things, you know? All this stuff is to say that, like, I was very lucky to get hired for this, but the thing about luck is that you don't get to choose what lucky things happen to you, but you can put yourself in positions that make it more likely that something lucky will happen to you. You know what I mean? Like, if let's say I was a slacker and I showed no interest and I did nothing, like at Gettysburg, I would hang out with like my professors like every day. And we would make videos together and all that sort of stuff. And let's say if I hadn't done that, then I would not have been recommended for this. But because of the fact that I showed so much passion for what I do, I got recommended for this. So, like I said before, you don't get to choose if something amazing happens to you, but you can put yourself in a position that makes it more likely that something amazing will happen to you. Anyways, so yeah, one of my favorite things on this shoot was there were 3 different camera crews. Because they would be filming more than one scene at a time, just to save time. There would be one crew filming one thing, another crew filming another thing, but then the third crew, their job was to film B-roll. And B-roll is just footage of the town and footage of just miscellaneous footage to put in between shots and to transition scenes and to like, you know, B-roll, you know what I'm talking about. And since I knew my way around town, I was a student at Gettysburg. I knew my way around, and I had, I was in charge of, like, I was their chauffeur because I could bring them to the coolest places in town. I could bring them to places that had really good view at sunset, those sorts of things. And what they did was they attached a camera to the hood of the car, and I would be driving. The camera people, they would be operating the camera with a remote control, and I would be driving. So if you ever watch the first episode of We're Here, any shot that has driving happening, I'm the one driving the car. I had a little minivan. That was me. That's me. It's so cool. Any shot that is shot from a car, that's me driving it. That's so cool. So cool. So I can watch these shots in the show, and I'm like, I kind of feel like I was like, I had a part in making that. It was so cool. And like I said, I spent a lot of time with these people, getting to know them. And somebody asked, do I have credits as car driver? No, but if you look at the credits, I'm listed as production assistant, and I'm the first name listed there. So that's very cool. Very cool. You can see my name in the credits. I actually have my own IMDb page, fun fact. Crazy how that works. Anyways, so where was I? So I formed a very close connection with a lot of the people, the crew members on this show, and the talent too. So, hello?
Hi.
What's up, Dad?
Am I interrupting?
Yes.
All right, do you mind me interrupting?
Yes.
Okay, in that case, I was telling you're talking about all your background and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I came up with.
It's all true. Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm not sure if they could hear that, but it was a clip.
Do you want to do it again?
No, I don't want to get copyright claimed.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's true, all of it. If you know where that's coming from, text or
Text me.
I don't know. Do something.
I don't know if you could hear that, but he played a clip from the Force Awakens trailer where Han Solo says, all of it, it's all true. And it all is true. So anyways, I learned so much from these people. I would oftentimes observe them doing their job, and I just learned so much. so much from that like 1 month of shooting things. Um, it's incredible how much you can just learn from just standing around and watching, and just talking to people and getting advice from people. But anyways, after that, that leads into after that summer, I had my last semester at Gettysburg College. So I did a total of 3 semesters there, a year and a half. And then starting in January 2020, I started going to my new college, Emerson College. That's right, I got accepted into Emerson College, which is super cool because that's like one of the best film schools in the world. Like you look up best film schools in the country, and like it's always on those lists. It's super cool. Very hard to get into, but yeah, I had a pretty big portfolio to share and had a lot of experience at that point because here I am going to this, and like I said before, for those of you who recently jumped into this live stream, I had to switch colleges. I loved Gettysburg. I had great friends, great classes, but it was all film studies, but no film production stuff. And I needed that production experience. I needed to learn. I didn't just, yes, it is valuable to learn about the history of film and all that sort of stuff, but you also need to learn how to work a camera and how to function on a set. And yeah, Peyton, she just dropped in the live chat that, yeah, at Emerson College, I live like a block away from Rick Riordan, so that's super cool. I've never seen him in person. Actually, I did see him in person once. I went to one of his book tours in 2016. It was the sort of summer book tour, so I did see him in person there. But yeah, so he does live a block away from me, which is super cool. But yeah, Emerson College, it's in Boston, and super cool. One of the best film schools in the world, which is so exciting. And I got involved in a lot of projects there. I was like a producer on this documentary, and I did lots of stuff, lots of stuff. But and I actually produced like my first like big short film, like short film that actually uses like like I rented out a camera from Emerson, and we had like a casting thing, and we had like a crew. It was really cool. It was my first big short film, and it's called Elevated. Later down the line in the story, I actually submitted Elevated to the Block Island Film Festival, and it did get accepted. It premiered at the Block Island Film Festival summer 2020, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, so there I am, halfway through my first semester at Emerson, and COVID strikes. COVID strikes, and everyone is sent home. And it's just so ironic, because there I am at Emerson. Like, I went to Emerson so that I could get hands-on experience with my career, and halfway through my first semester, we're sent back home and everything's online. It's ironic. It is, and it's frustrating and it makes me mad. So I returned back home to Pennsylvania when COVID hit, and I finished off that semester online, unfortunately. Sad. And then, and it's also sad because I lost a really great opportunity because just before COVID struck, I was applying for a ton of different internships in the film industry, and there was one that actually an internship on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and they really liked me, and they called me in for like an in-person interview. Like I took a train up to New York City, up into the was it the Rockefeller Center? It's the NBC building, up into the NBC building to like meet with these people, and they loved me. They really liked me, and then the internship was canceled because of COVID, and I'll never know for sure if I would have gotten that internship, but I'm like 99% sure I had it down, because they really liked me there, and I mean they called me. They asked me to come to New York City to the NBC building in person, like, and they loved me. It was so cool. And then it was canceled, and I lost that opportunity, and I was really upset about that because that would have been amazing. It would have been so cool. But I've come to accept what happened, and the way I see it is, at this point, I've had so many great opportunities, so many wonderful things, so many great opportunities that to have one of those opportunities not work out, I mean, I can't really complain too much that one of them didn't work out when I've already had so many great opportunities already. And I've done so much more than most 21-year-olds. And my future is very bright, so I can't get too upset when one thing doesn't work out. But still, when it initially was canceled, I was very, very upset. I was so upset. So after that, since everything in the film industry was basically just canceled for a while, what I did was I moved to Block Island, Rhode Island. I moved in with my grandma because Block Island is a summer island. It's a summer tourist island, and island workers make a whole lot of money in the summer. So I moved in with my grandma on Rhode Island, and I worked as a busser, a little bus boy at a restaurant, and I made a whole lot of money and a whole lot of friends. Because the way I saw it was, I really wanted to have a great internship in the film industry, but summer 2020, all of those were canceled. Everything that I was filming was just skeleton crews, like the bare minimum people, and so they couldn't really have interns. So I was like, okay, if I can't further my career this summer, I might as well make some money. So when I move out to LA, LA is expensive. So I need to make money, and the best way to make money is to work on a tourist island. And I mean, my grandma let me stay with her, so rent was free, and so that's super cool. Anyways, I made a ton of money while I was up there, and a lot of friends. And also, at one point, my grandma, she said to me that she read in the newspaper that she saw an ad for an indie film that was filming on the island, and they were doing a casting call. And I was like, like she heard that in the newspaper, and I was like, I gotta go. And so I did go, and I got casted in this independent movie. It's called Last Girls' Trip, and I don't know what ever happened to it because the movie, it was filming in like August, September, October, something like that. It was like late summer, early autumn, that sort of thing. And we filmed, and then I haven't heard anything since. Like, if you look up Last Girls' Trip, Dusty Novel is the director. So you look up Last Girls' Trip, Dusty Novel. You'll see websites for like fundraisers to get the film completed, but there's been no updates. But I was casted in the film. I didn't have any lines, but I did have a role because the movie is about these three friends, and every year they go on this like girls trip, but one of them gets cancer, and they're like, it's our last time going on this girls trip together. And throughout the movie, this trio of friends, they keep running into a trio of young girls who are all friends, and they keep like running into them and seeing them, and it reminds them of when they were young and things were simple. And I was one of those gals who shows up throughout the movie. So that was cool. I actually talked to the other people at the restaurant I was working at, and we were all like, we all gotta go and be extras on this movie. So you have like waitresses and cooks and bartenders, all these people, bussers, all these people showing up as extras in this movie. And so I did have a role. It was a non-speaking role, but it was a role, and I show up in more than one scene, so that's cool. Have not heard back about any updates with this movie, but I was in an independent movie, which is cool. Anyways, so yeah, that summer I was working at a restaurant, making money. I was in an independent film, and that same summer, my first big short film debuted at a film festival, which is super cool. Like, oh my God, I'm still in shock that happened. At that point, I was only 20, and so much has happened. Anyway, so after that, I decided to take the semester of fall 2020 off because I was like, everything's online. Clubs, you can't meet in groups of more than 5 people. And so I was like, I wanted to go to Emerson's to get hands-on filmmaking experience, and I can't get that right now. Like, and if I were to go, then I would just be wasting my time, it'd just be a waste of time and money. So I decided to instead stay on Block Island and finish out the tour season, which ended around like October-ish. So then in October, I returned back home to Pennsylvania. And at that point, I decided to go back to YouTube, as you all have probably noticed. I started making YouTube videos again because I really missed it. I missed being in my element and making videos, making films, and that sort of thing. So I started making YouTube videos again in October, and that's why Peyton shows up again um, because as I mentioned before, we had a point in time where we were distancing ourselves, and it was late 2017, early 2018, but we eventually made up. We made good. Around like it was like late spring, early summer of 2018, we made good, and our relationship is great. I actually think our relationship is stronger for it because it's like muscle. It requires stress on it in order to build. Um, Most relationships are like that. If you can get through something big and still come out loving each other, um, I think that really strengthens that bond a lot. Um, and also, we both grew through that experience. It was very important for both of us. It was a learning experience. It was a growing experience. It was important and needed. But we are on very good terms right now. And I'm sorry, you almost choked up there. We are on very good terms. And so since Peyton, she's been living in Pennsylvania this whole time. Well, not right now. Now she's in DC, like I said, doing this crazy, amazing internship. Amazing. But she spent so much time in Pennsylvania. So when I finally returned to Pennsylvania, we were like, hey, let's do videos again. So we started making videos again because prior to that, we couldn't make videos because I was living in Gettysburg, I was living in Boston, I was living in Block Island. So finally, when I returned back home to Pennsylvania, we were like, let's make videos again. And that's what we did. And we've been posting weekly ever since. Last week, we didn't post anything because I was on vacation, but dang, I managed to pump out a lot of stuff. But anyways, so, and then spring 2021 rolls around. And I decided to do that semester online to do a bunch of my gen eds because I still have a lot of gen eds I need to complete. So I was like, I'll do my gen eds online because I'm not really missing out on much if I'm not on campus doing those. So I was like, I'll do my gen eds online, and then that way when I go back to campus in person, I can just jump right back into my career. So spring 2021, I did my semester online, doing gen eds, and continuing to make weekly YouTube videos with Peyton. And then we have another big update, which is that I applied for if y'all want a day in my life, let me know. Peyton, she just sent in the live chat, in case you didn't see. If y'all want a video of a day in her life, let her know and she can do that. Peyton, I would love if you did that. More saves me time and because I'm always like, oh my god, what's the next video gonna be? I'll talk about the next video later. We'll get to that later because I have been working on that and it's coming soon. Anyways, so we have another big update, which is that during my spring 2021, I applied for a very special program called Emerson LA, ELA, because Emerson College, they have another campus in Los Angeles. Like their main campus is in Boston, but they also have a branch campus in Los Angeles, like right in the heart of Hollywood, right in the heart of it. It's a big deal. And you have to apply to it. You have to really you have to send in a bunch of letters explaining why you'd be a good candidate and all that sort of stuff. And they don't accept many people, but I did get accepted into Emerson LA. So in the fall, I will be doing that application process, by the way, happens a year before you actually go. So I will be attending Emerson in Boston in the fall, and then the spring after that, I will be in Los Angeles. So fall 2021, I will be in Boston, and spring 2022, I will be in Los Angeles. And then fall 2022, I will have my final semester in Boston. But anyways, it's a big deal because at ELA, Emerson's Los Angeles campus, they immerse you in it. Like, you are actually working on movies there, like, and movies and TV shows. And that's part of the reason why I needed to get my gen eds out of the way, because you can't take any gen eds at ELA. You can't. So I'm just so excited for that, because not only do you spend a semester in Los Angeles, and right in the location, it's right in the heart of Hollywood, but you're also like working on like these professional Hollywood projects, and they also kind of hook you up with an internship there for the summer, so you can like stay there. You spend the spring semester in LA, and then they hook you up with an internship for the summer, so you just stay there for like half a year, which is super cool. I don't know what my internship will be, but I hope I'm working with Mark Ruffalo. I say that because I have this friend I met through, like I said, I work at that restaurant, and one of the waitresses there actually graduated from Emerson, and she graduated last year, and she got hooked up with this internship where she was working with Mark Ruffalo. It's amazing. It was so cool. So hopefully I'm doing that. She was working with Netflix and everything. So I'm really excited. My future is very bright. But another big update with things is that I got accepted for this internship that I'm currently working in. I started this internship in March 2021. It's with the Geek Grid Studios, which is it's a Pennsylvania company that they do conventions, like nerd conventions. And so I go to their different events and promotional things, and I film their events, and I make highlights videos, and I make promotional videos, and I make videos for their sponsors, and I make advertisements and all that sort of jazz. I actually keep a list of every video that I make, and as of today, I have made 83 videos for them. 83 videos. And I started in March, and now we have 83 videos that I've made. Super cool. But it's a mostly remote internship, and it's kind of a part-time internship, so I don't have many hours there, unfortunately. But what I've been doing this summer is I have my internship that I do. I make lots and lots of videos for them. And then I also am still making weekly YouTube videos, and I'm also working on future projects, because when you're at Emerson College, you are just constantly working on these projects, and you need to go in there with it already figured out. So I have all these ideas that I want to execute, short films that I want to make once I get to Emerson. And in order to do that, I need to get everything ready to go. I need to get my scripts made. I need to make prop lists. I need to figure out locations. I need to figure out what I need to figure out, so that once I get to Emerson, I'm just jumping right back into it and making things, and it'll be great. So once I get back to Boston, I don't know if I'll be able to continue making weekly YouTube videos, because I will be very busy. Emerson is definitely a school that keeps you busy, not only with your classes, but also all these extracurriculars and various short films you're working on. Like I said before, Emerson is a very exclusive school. Like it's very, very hard to get into. So the people who are at Emerson are super dedicated to filmmaking, super duper dedicated to it. So everyone there, like, from what I can tell, people don't really have friends at Emerson. They just have people that they make short films with. So, because people at Emerson don't really hang out with people. They just work on school stuff and their own personal projects. Like, it's very hard to make friends there, and that's part of the reason why. So, hopefully I can continue making videos, or at least and that's another reason why I wanted to start this live stream series, because if I can't make videos there, I can still make live streams. I can still I can reserve an hour of my week to just talking to you guys. And once I'm at Emerson, I'll be like hosting this with hopefully friends that I will make there. I have a roommate. My roommate that I had when I was there in Boston a year ago. We were very close, and now we're rooming together this coming semester, and then they're also going out to Los Angeles at the same time I am, and we'll be rooming together then. We're very close, and my roommate, they are non-binary, so they, them pronouns, and I fully expect you guys to show nothing but respect for our non-binary friends once they start participating in these with me. But anyway, so I'm very excited. Like I said, I don't like bragging, I feel bad about it. Like, I only really talk about my career in film if one, I'm close to the person and it's just kind of a life update, you know? Like Peyton, like she knows all my life updates. I tell her everything. Or two, if they ask directly about it, in which case, like, yeah, if you ask me about it, I'll tell you about it. Or three, it's like some Hollywood producer and I want to impress them. Like, like anytime I meet somebody with any sort of status, I'm basically just trying to incorporate my entire resume into every conversation and learn everything I can from them and become as friends with them as I can. It's very cool. Yeah, here I am. I'm 21. I graduated from high school 3 years ago, and yet in 3 years, within the span of 3 years, I've met Danny DeVito and Sharon Osbourne. I've been flown out to LA for a project. I've worked with CBS. I've worked with HBO. I worked on like an actual Hollywood pilot. I've been accepted into like this major Hollywood program. I've had one of my short films shown in a film festival. I've like befriended Disney Channel child stars. I've befriended like top tier, like some of the biggest drag queens in the world who follow me on Instagram. Like I have been in an independent film. I've been accepted into one of the most exclusive film schools in the world. Like, I am so lucky. So that's why when the Jimmy Fallon thing didn't work out, I was like, you know what? Who am I to complain? Like, I have been so lucky thus far. I've had so many great opportunities, and I'm continuing to get these great opportunities, so there's no point in poo-pooing over one of those opportunities not working out. Still sucks. I would have loved to do that, but it is what it is. And my future is very bright. And yeah, I just wanted to share this with you guys because you guys often ask about my career and how I got to where I am and what I do outside of YouTube. Because like I said, I do have a professional career and I've done some amazing things. Like, it's insane. It is, and I'm very grateful and happy for everything that I've had, and people do often also ask me about tips and advice for this sort of stuff, and I think from this, oh, thank you, Peyton. I think from this live stream you can glean a lot of themes throughout my life. First of all, leaning into my weirdness has translated into success a lot, because, you know, growing up I was always made to feel like a freak of nature because I was weird. But once I hit my career, I soon learned that standing out is very good, especially in the film industry. So lean into your weirdness. Be as memorable as possible. Another thing is network. Make friends with people. Film festivals are a great way to do that. Even small ones with like nobody there, you still meet people in the film industry. You still meet a lot of really amazing people. Like, you know the show Scandal? Kristen Carey, one of the actresses on it, like, she follows me on Instagram. Like, she loves me. Like, I remember at the end of the first Balkan Film Festival, she's like, oh my God, Allison, I just want to stick you in a suitcase and bring you with me to LA. I love you so much. You're so sweet and so cute. And I was like, aw, thanks. But, yeah, networking, so important. Film festivals, so important. And also making videos. It doesn't matter if your videos are garbage. Like, just keep making them and you'll figure it out. Just constantly be a hard worker and prove that to others, because other people will notice. And I really do think one of the biggest takeaways is something that I know I hate to sound redundant, but it's so true that you can never choose if you're going to be lucky, but you can choose to put yourself in situations that make it more likely that something amazing will happen to you. So a lot of these opportunities I've had have come from luck, but at the same time, I do have to kind of give myself a pat on the back, because I do think that I've put myself in situations that have led me to that, you know? Like with the HBO thing. I got hired because I was very lucky to get hired. I was so lucky to have that experience, that opportunity. But the reason I got hired was because the production coordinator was like, hey, we need production assistants. So they called the college and they said, hey, do you have any film students who you could send over to us. And they say, we know just the girl, because at that point I had proven myself as being a very, very dedicated. I've proven to be very dedicated to what I do, and I try to learn as much as I can. And that's another theme. Like, YouTube is an amazing tool. The internet is an amazing tool. You can learn basically anything, and that's important. Just learn everything you can. Just be an information sponge and make friends, lean into your weirdness, like lean into what makes you a unique person, because that will make you memorable. And like I said, it's more of who you know than what you know. So being memorable is very, very important. And yeah, another thing is just keep on making content. That's something important that I learned. Because even if it's just dumb videos, I remember when I was at Emerson in Boston before COVID hit, I had this professor, a production professor, and he gave some really good advice, which was that make it into a habit where you're always making things. Like every week, make something. Just always have something that you're making. That way you stay in the groove of it, because yeah, sometimes you fall out of the groove and then it's hard to fall back in. And that's definitely something I've learned from my recent getting back onto YouTube recently, which is that just staying in the groove, keeping yourself mentally thinking about these things, and yeah, learning as much as you can. Like, there's so many behind the scenes documentaries from movies, and there are so many tutorials, so many like editorials, so many things that you can learn online. And yeah, that's my advice for people. And another thing, equipment. My tips when it comes to buying equipment is like, get it little by little, because don't invest unless you know. Well, so this is what I did essentially. I started off with just my phone and nothing else, and just like an editing app that was free. And then eventually I was like, okay, I want to do bigger stuff. So I invested in editing software. And then later down the line, I was like, okay, I want to actually film quality stuff. So I was like, I invested in a camera. Actually, I didn't buy the camera. That was my 18th birthday present. I love my camera. Eventually I invested in lighting equipment, and I invested in microphones. And like, I feel like every year I buy a new microphone. But you little by little get things, because I don't recommend just getting big equipment, just all of it all at once, because what if you're not actually into this, Ease yourself into it. And also, my advice with buying equipment is, if you're going to buy equipment, go big or go home, because let's say I were to buy a cheap $200-300 camera, and that was my first camera, a cheap $200-300 camera. Well, then later down the line, I'm like, well, it's time to get my professional camera, which is $1,100. Then the fact that I had previously bought a $200-300 camera, that's just a waste of money. So if you're gonna get stuff, commit to it, But at the same time, don't commit too much and just buy everything all at once. Just buy it little by little. Slowly learn things. And another tip that I have is, I think filmmaking is you're constantly in the process of, you have these ideas, these images in your mind where you're like, I want to do this. I have this image and I want that in there. And so you think to yourself, okay, what tools do I have at my availability to make that? How can I make that? You start thinking of that, like, you may start thinking about, what tools do I have? How much money am I willing to spend in order to make this happen? How much time am I willing to invest in order to make this happen? Like, is it worth, like, doing a ton of stuff for it? But you're always in the state of, I want to do this, how can I do this? And then figuring it out. If you don't know how to do it, like, yeah, you can just say, like, okay, I'll just leave that out, but you can't do that all the time. Keep yourself in a state of, I want to do this, how do I do this? Let's do this. Well, Peyton, I love all your comments in the live chat. I love you too, dear, so much. But yeah, I think Peyton and I, whenever we're writing something, what we do is we're always saying, how do we do this? You know, for instance, in the upcoming video, Terror of Nearer, I had this idea where I want Python to be me in that green morph suit, the one that I jumped into the pool with in the Dirt Percy. I was like, I want that to be me, to bring back the whole snake idea. And I want to be flopping around in some dank place. So we're like, okay, how do we do this? We could do this in a bathroom with like the lights dimmed, you know? We could do this, but there's a creek by my house. We could go under the bridge there. I actually went under the bridge a few weeks ago, Peyton, and update, it's a no-go. There's no way we can do that. There's too much mud down there, and the camera would definitely get ruined. Like, literally, I was trying to climb into the creek, and my feet get so stuck that I'm like, I think I've lost my flip-flops. And my dad had, like, dig my legs out, and in the process, I fell over and just got completely soaked. Like, if I had a camera in my hands, it would be dead. Yeah, so... You know, or like we could do that under my house. And I'm also like, oh, hey, there's this, and Gettysburg, which is a short drive from here, there's this little creek with a bridge, and it's very echoey and kind of creepy and dank. We could do that there. So we're thinking, okay, what do we have available? Are we willing to spend, you know, take that 45-minute drive to get there? You know, is it worth it? Yes, no, you know, that sort of thing. And also thinking about, you know, we did the live stream where we were writing Terror Nearer, or at least part of it. So you could see a little sneak peek of our process, but we had that idea of, you know, that shot in Toy Story 2 where Buzz is like, well, he's like, you killed my father, and then Emperor Zurg is like, no, I am your father, and they're on the elevator, and he goes, no, and he's like going down, like, he's like, no, it's going down, right? So we're like, okay, we want to do that shot at one point where Apollo's like, no, that shot of, like, going down like that. So we're like, okay, how do we do this, right? We're gonna have the green screen right here. Peyton would have to be like pretending like this is above her, so, you know, like kind of like position herself like that, you know. They're like, no, and then I can in post-production take her, shrink her down, and the background that we use that we edit in with the green screen, have that enlarged, that creates the illusion of like the, you know, like that. That's how you would do it. So yeah, it's a constant process of how do we do it, you know? Like another example is I was working on a project for my internship, and at one point at the end I was like, check us out at twitch.tv/thegeekgrid21, right? And I wanted at that point in the video to have like text on screen, like typing out the letters for the URL, but I'm like, how do I do that? So what I had, this was such a good idea. I'm so proud of this idea that I had. So I downloaded an image, like I just typed in green, you know? And so you download this like a lime green image, right? And then I bring it into my editing software, right? And so I pull it up, you know, and then I make it like nice and big, right? On my monitor. And then I use my laptop. I have a screen recording software. So I start recording the screen as I'm typing out onto that green screen in my editing software. And then I type out the URL, and then I stop recording, and then I insert that clip that I just recorded into the video itself, and I crop it, and I, you know, use my keyframes my Ultra key to like edit out the green screen. So that way you have the typing out that I was looking for. And I was like, oh my God, that was such a good idea. Oh. I was very proud of that idea. But yeah, filmmaking is a constant state of, I want to do this, how can I do this, let's do this, you know? So always be curious, always try to learn and push yourself. That's my advice. And I hope I didn't come across in this live stream as too arrogant or like I'm bragging. Like I said, a lot of people ask about this, and I want to give you an answer, because a lot of people are very curious. A lot of people want to do what I do, and also, like I said, I'm so grateful for everything. I'm so lucky, so fortunate. And also, if you want to start your own YouTube channel, just start it. Like, when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't know anything. The first videos are filmed vertically, okay? I knew nothing. But each video I would, you know, if you go through each video, you can see that I experiment with something, I add something new, and there's very slow, gradual process. It's not like you just go from I know nothing to I'm an expert. No, you have to be okay with not knowing anything. You have to start off with what you know, and then little by little you go, okay, let's do this, and you start getting into that mindset, and you become better very slowly, but you do. So just don't be afraid. Just go out and make garbage, and then slowly that garbage will become better garbage. I think that's a good place to end this. Oh, one more thing. So I did mention before that we have a new video coming out soon. We filmed me, Peyton, and Peyton's boyfriend, and it's her boyfriend reacting to some of our YouTube videos. And I've been editing that, and it'll be coming out soon. Hopefully sometime this week. Hopefully by the end of the week. Definitely soon. You guys are gonna love it. It's funny. Paul is hilarious. I love his reactions to to everything. And if you have any suggestions for other videos you'd like to see, once this live stream uploads and for rewatching, you can comment below on that for that sort of thing. And Peyton, I really hope that you send a day in my life sort of thing, not only because I think that would make a good video, not only because that saves me time and energy from coming up with ideas, but also I'm genuinely curious about how life is in DC with your wonderful internship. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you, genuinely, and it's emotionally conflicting because I'm so happy for you. I'm glad to see you out pursuing your career because for so long you've been in the central Pennsylvania area. You have a lot of responsibilities here, a lot of people who need you, and I'm so happy to see you out in DC following your dreams and making them a reality. And I like that growth, and I'm happy for you. But at the same time, I'm also like, oh, I miss her. But I can't be like that because I've left Pennsylvania so many times, so it would be hypocritical of me. Anyways, this live stream has gone on for a while, so I think, one more thing. So I had a friend. Originally, I was going to be doing this episode of Getting Awkward with Allison with a friend of mine, but he was unavailable to come today. But earlier today, he texted me and he was like, hey, could we do it tomorrow maybe? And I'm like, sure. So tomorrow we're going to be doing another live stream with a friend of mine. Actually, I might ask him if maybe he could just do it next week. I don't know. I'll keep you guys updated on if there's a live stream happening tomorrow or not. There might be. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. I love y'all.